challenge.
Gators and Bulldogs kicking off here in Duval Saturday at 3:30. Listen to the game live on 1010XL. It's 74 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, bird lady.
No Lauren Brooks today. That poor girl battling whatever bug is going around in Duval County right now. Hope everybody's staying healthy and staying safe because something is certainly amiss, and it's not just the Jacksonville Jaguars, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. So no Lauren today, and I feel bad as I'm about to tweet as much, Taylor, because we have an absolutely loaded Helmets and Heels for you on deck on this Active Jacks Health Tuesday. Active Health Jacks Tuesday. All right, we're already, 30 seconds into the program. Already had a fumble there. Active Health Jacks Tuesday on Helmets and Heels right here on 1010XL, 92.5 FM. At 12:15, our good friend Mike Golic Jr. going to join us to talk about a whole host of various topics in the sporting world. Of course, focusing, I'm sure, on college football. At 12:35, Clay Hensley, former MLB pitcher and World Series champion, going to join us. And finally, in the 1 o'clock hour, as he does each and every other week, our very own Rick Baloo going to join us to break down those Florida State Seminoles. But before we get to this all-star lineup that we have on deck, Taylor, last night, the New York Giants fell to 2-6. Why are you leading with the New York Giants, Mia, you damn Yankee? I'm leading with them because 2-6 is the same record that your Jacksonville Jaguars find themselves at, Taylor Dahl. And meanwhile, on the winning end of last night's Monday Night Football game, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 6-2. Russ Wilson looks like he turned back the clock. Mike Tomlin is doing his best Jim Halpert. He knew what no one else knew. And suddenly, a team that so many questioned on paper, although I don't think anyone is questioning Mike Tomlin and his track record, they find themselves not only in the driver's seat in the AFC North, but they find themselves in the driver's seat outside of Kansas City in the entire AFC. What does that say about the state of the conference, but also big picture, our favorite word, team building?
Yeah, and that's what, when it comes to that division, because I think a lot of people thought it would be one of the most competitive because you have the Steelers and they're always in it. The Ravens, people are expecting to have the season, and honestly, they had. The Ravens obviously lost to the Browns this last weekend as Jameis Winston kind of took over, but they've played really, really good football, and Lamar Jackson, for the most part, has played out of his mind to start this season. The Browns some people thought they were going to be good. I was never in on it just because I wasn't a believer in Deshaun Watson. But the Bengals, I think that most people were like, okay, Joe Burrow's healthy. They have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They're both back. There's all of these things that seem like even if the defense wasn't amazing, they have enough of an offense for them to be able to be competitive. And it just hasn't really worked out in the Bengals' favor so far this season. And then the Browns obviously just won their second game last week with Jameis Winston. So it is interesting because I think the division isn't quite going the way that people thought, which is helping the Steelers. But I also think that even when Justin Fields was in, who, by the way, was the backup quarterback because Russell Wilson was announced as the starter and got hurt, and Justin Fields came in and threw one interception in the 4 games that he started and was able to, 4 or 5 games he started, and was able to do enough and at least stay away from mistakes enough to not hurt the Pittsburgh offense. There were some flashes there, but obviously not enough for Mike Tomlin to stick with Justin Fields once Russell Wilson was back. And to this point, it looks like he made the right choice, honestly, in going back to Russ, because Russ has played really good football the last 2 weeks.
So the Steelers get it done last night, 26-18. A big reason why we're leading with this on a Tuesday morning, though, is not just because of the records of these two teams and because it's the news of the day in the football world, Taylor. It is because the New York Giants had a chance to win this game. We spent so much of yesterday's program talking about how the Jaguars might be one of the worst complementary football teams in the National Football League. Last night, in the final 5 minutes of that ball game, credit to Danny Dimes. Yeah. He led the New York Giants down the field. They bring this to a 1 possession, or at least I believe it was an 8-point ball game at that juncture. They make it where, hey, you know what? You get a defensive turnover, you get the ball back with 2 minutes to play. That's exactly what they did. And then what happened?
Yeah, you blow it.
Daniel Jones is picked off.
It's Daniel Jones. And that's what, unfortunately, we see those moments of these quarterbacks. And that's why yesterday we also had the conversation about Trevor Lawrence. And I heard Primetime talking about it too, of the difference between saying, because I do think there's very opposite spectrums in this conversation. You hear there's some people that are like, this is all Trevor's fault. If he played better, they'd be winning. And then there's other people that are like, nothing's Trevor's fault. It's somewhere in the middle. There have been moments this season that it has been Trevor's fault. And you can point to the defense, but when your offense can't score in the first quarter, which actually will be my tangent today. So I'm going to get into some of these because I heard Loggeman talk about those fast starts. So I wanted to look at some of those numbers. So we'll get to that later in the show. But you take too long to get going, and then also you don't finish. And they play really good second and third quarters, and in the first and fourth, come up short. And I saw a little bit of a connection when I was doing my research today around the league of the teams that are not very good have the same exact issues right now. And so when you directly look, if you're looking at the Giants, you know what sticks out to me? The Giants have a negative 58 point differential, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have a plus 68. Like, that is the difference between a winning and a losing football team, because yes, your defense helps you in aspects, but you can also score early, and you can score at the end of the games when it matters and not turn the ball over.
We've heard this now, not only from Jeff Loggeman on Jaguars Today here on 1010XL, but also Tony Baselli last night on Happy Hour with Pete Briscoe. And they both stressed, and Doug Peterson stressed this in his availability yesterday, that so much of this game comes down to those handful of plays that are winning football plays. Yeah. And if you don't execute in those moments, ultimately, this is why you find yourselves at a 2-6 mark 8 games into the season. Let's run through the teams that are 2-6, beyond the New York Giants, beyond the hometown Jacksonville Jaguars. Which of these teams, because there's a lot of them in the AFC
under
in particular.
500.
Right, so we're going to go under 500. So you have to be less than 4-4. But I want to start with, we'll get to the 2-1 win teams because, or actually, no, the Patriots did win a second game. So, yeah, we're not going to put them in the category of the
just the Titans.
Of the Carolina
Titans
Panthers and the Tennessee Titans. So, at 1-6, we'll begin in the AFC. We'll look at those NFC teams, but I think the landscape of the AFC is what we will focus on, Taylor, because it does present an opportunity.
Yep.
An opportunity for the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-6 that you could potentially get back into this thing. Yes, I said it because, folks, you would not believe how many teams right now in the AFC are under 500. So we mentioned the Tennessee Titans are 1-6. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the Cleveland Browns, the Las Vegas Raiders, the New York Jets, the New England Patriots, and by virtue of already having their bye, the Miami Dolphins are all 2-win teams. That is 6 teams in one conference that have 2 wins. By default, that means that you have one team with 6 or 2 teams with 6 wins in the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans. So 3. So you have 3 6-win teams, 1 7-win team, and 2 5-win teams in the Ravens and somehow, some way, the Broncos. You have as many 2-win teams as you do teams with a winning record in the AFC right now, which is crazy to say. So now I ask you this, Taylor, which of those teams, let's begin in the AFC, which of those teams with a sub-500 record, we also will throw the Cincinnati Bengals with their 3-5 mark in there, which of those teams has the best chance to turn it around in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that you want to factor into this because you want to factor health of players. You're going to factor how they've lost and how bad those losses have looked. But I think the obvious one to me, I almost want to go to the Dolphins, but just because of the rest, like all of them, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets are all at it's 2-5 and then 2-6 teams. So there's 3 teams in that division that are kind of just behind Buffalo and good bit behind Buffalo. So there's not a chance to catch that. But I do think because that looks like the least competitive when it comes to all of the teams just not playing really well. And then Tua is back. And I don't think it came out flying high last week, but it was his first game back and hadn't practiced in a bit. So I would expect the Dolphins offense to start picking back up. I think that the Jets are probably one of the biggest disappointments this season. And when you look at how they played the other night, you lose to the Patriots, and that's probably the team that people had been saying is the bottom. Panthers and Patriots and Titans had been considered the 3 worst teams. But I do think you could make arguments for some of the other teams. But to me, those ones, and I think mainly just because of Tua returning and what he adds to the offense, looks like the most obvious for me.
The Bengals are who so many will talk about. because they are
3-5.
They are that team that over the last 5 years has found a way to somehow, some way only win. I believe it's one of their last 10 games in the first 2 weeks of the season that they have actually won.
Yeah.
They're always starting 0-2. Joe Burrow's always saying, relax. He's AA
Like,
Ron
we've got
reincarnated.
it.
It's
Yeah.
fine. But then I look at that schedule that they have the rest of the way. They obviously have to play the Ravens again. And now the Ravens did lose to the Browns, excuse me. So, okay, that's all fine and good. They have to play this Steelers team that does have 6 wins twice. They also have to face the aforementioned Browns, the Cowboys, certainly a struggling outfit, the Chargers, the Titans, the Broncos, and the Raiders. Those are 4 winnable games for this Bengals team. And so I understand those that want to make the argument that they are the most likely team under 500 in the AFC to turn this thing around. But ultimately, if their defense looks the way they have each of the last few weeks, gave up 37 at the hands of, yes, a very good Eagles team, but gave up, you give up 41 points to the Ravens in the first meeting.
Yeah.
What's going to happen the second go-round?
Well, and
you gave up 24 points to the Panthers, for crying out loud.
And that's what their defense is killing them, but their offense can score. And that's what I think a lot of people have hope in. Of those teams we just listed and that are under 500, so Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Bengals, Browns, Jags, Titans, and the Raiders, the Bengals have the best point differential out of all of them. It's only a -8, and they're 3-5. So they have 2 games under 500, and they're still barely under that negative point differential because they can score. So I do think a lot of people lean on that enough, like, can this Bengals offense just be explosive enough to overcome their defense? But that's really hard to do, honestly. And a lot of these teams, we're talking about the exact same thing. Dolphins defense, obviously without Tua, their offense hasn't been able to score either, but their defense has not helped them. Jags defense has not helped them. When you go through these list of bad teams, a lot of them, maybe outside the Browns, where their defense have just been hurting them more than helping them.
Taylor says the Dolphins are the most likely team with a sub-500 record to turn it around in the AFC. I say the Bengals. What say you, Heeligans? Get in the conversation. 641-1010 is the number to reach us on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. The MyBookie Digital Studio is open for business on YouTube, X, and Facebook, so be sure to leave us a comment there as well. As we let off the top with an absolutely loaded Active Health Jacks Tuesday here on Helmets and Heels, Mike Golic Jr. going to join us on the other side of this timeout right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
He's fearless in the face of danger when entering enemy territory.
What is your mission?
Get insights and interviews from Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline when he takes you behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question, folks. Dreamfinders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you can take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Wow. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. Let me say that one more time. 2.99% year one rate. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. Chick-fil-A is introducing the new banana pudding milkshake that's here for a limited time to enjoy. The seasonal treat features Chick-fil-A ice cream dessert mixed with bananas and vanilla wafer cookie crumbles. It's a perfect sweet spin on a classic shake. The banana pudding milkshake is here for a limited time, so stop by your local Chick-fil-A restaurant and treat yourself today.
If you're like most Americans, you have a ton of credit card debt and you're paying insane interest rates on that debt every month. Same for car loans and personal loans. Stop getting ripped off. Let Loan Pronto consolidate that debt for you at a significantly lower rate using the equity in your home. Hey, it's Prosser here, and Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit can get you up to $500,000. so you can consolidate your debt in as fast as 5 days. Their average client saves over $1,000 every month by doing this. Right now is the best time to act. With an Express Equity line of credit, you can access up to 90% of your home's equity, usually without an appraisal. Don't put it off. Get your financial house in order for the new year and call Loan Pronto now to see what you can save. It's a free quote and there's no credit pull, unlike the other guys. Call now, 904-999-1508 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Being the primary breadwinner in your marriage is a huge responsibility, but that doesn't mean you should continue to be the primary breadwinner after your divorce, too. The attorneys at the Florida Women's Law Group work hard to make sure you're not responsible for supporting your ex any more than necessary. I'm Heather Quick, owner and attorney. Learn how we can help at FloridaWomen'sLawGroup.com or call us 904-204-2359. Divorce for women, by women. Offices, Jacksonville and St. John's.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experience, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
Every weekend is a Stone Cold Sports Weekend. Hey, Dan Hicken here. Watch for the Weekend with Dan on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll help you put together your sports weekend. Weekend with Dan brought to you by Stone Core. We do the outdoors better.
Former Gator and Jaguars linebacker Mike Peterson and Mandarin standout and Gator cornerback Fred Weary will be inducted into the Florida-Georgia Hall of Fame. For tickets to the celebration lunch Friday, November 1st, go to GAFLJax.com.
Hey, Hicken here for Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code JAX, J-A-X, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code JAX to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, man. Run your game.
Rotator cuff injuries are common among athletes and those who have physically demanding careers. Don't let this injury keep you away from the sport you love. Dr. George Barry here, and the first thing you need to do with a serious shoulder injury is to diagnose where the damage is and how significant it is. Rotator cuff tears are either acute tears sustained during an injury or accident, or degenerative tears. If you're interested in learning more about rotator cuff repair and how our expert team of orthopedic surgeons can help you, call Barry Orthopedics today or visit barryorthopedics.com.
Picture this. It's a dark and stormy night, and your toilet is acting possessed. But fear not, for Duck Duck Rooter is here to exorcise those plumbing demons and banish them to the netherworld. So if you're facing a plumbing horror story straight out of a nightmare, summon the spectral expertise of Duck Duck Rooter. Call 904-862-6769 and bid those plumbing phantoms farewell. Duck Duck Rooter, where we tackle plumbing scares so you don't have to.
Prosser here. I've been telling you for years about Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season finally upon us. Imagine watching your favorite teams in your new Lifetime Man Cave, family hangout, or Lifetime's version of a she shed. And now Lifetime is expanding their replacement window division. Make your home energy efficient with their Energy Star rated windows. Enclosures, flooring, and windows to fit any and all budgets. Visit the showroom just off Phillips Highway. Proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let Lifetime be your home team.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
We just got done asking our Heeligans, our listeners out there, which AFC team that is currently under 500 is most likely to turn it around in the second half of the NFL season. That's not the only thing we're asking you today, because Mike Golic Jr., who joins us now on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, is asking, what is the order of the best hot sauce? I couldn't agree with you more, sir, that Cholula is undoubtedly the best hot sauce, at least when compared to Texas Pete and Crystal.
Yeah, no, it's nice to be around another like-minded ball knower when it comes to hot sauce. These are the kind of important topics that people need to know and be discussing in the public. We spend so much time on football, and I guess there's a big day coming up next Tuesday, but it's nice to know that we can still cut to the core of the important stuff.
I do think Baby Ray's is criminally underrated, but I think that's a discussion for another time because, Mike, we of course are excited to speak with you here today on Helmets and Heels. I think we went into this thinking we'd ask you a little bit about your alma mater, Notre Dame, the landscape of college football. But you're out here already clipping from the Jaguars-Packers game on Sunday, and you alluded to that all-important trade deadline 1 week from today. So I'm curious, initial impressions of the Jacksonville Jaguars through 8 games, and in particular coming off of that disappointing loss on Sunday.
Yeah, a team that's been struggling to find identity, that flashes moments where you see the talent, the roster that they had hoped they had built this offseason coming together, and really now turnovers and injury continue to be the story. We know the wide receiver room got beat up this weekend in addition to the offensive line and everything else. And while you get the good news on Brian Thomas, I mean, the injury to Christian Kirk, especially as a name, you mentioned the trade deadline is one that people wondered, would he be on the trade block? Would he be someone, if the Jags turned into sellers at the deadline, would all of a sudden be someone they could maybe get some assets for? And now not really sure what the case is. And so I think for Jacksonville, it's been disappointing because Trevor Lawrence is a guy that I scouted a lot coming out of college, watched a ton of him when he was at Clemson, thought very highly of. And while he produces some great moments like that late game touchdown to Evan Ingram, there's also the turnovers and some of the inconsistency that, hey, you can make a lot of excuses for him, and Lord knows I have, but there are things that he has to wear, and those are certainly a part of it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of the conversations of the what exactly is wrong or what's the biggest problem, because I think that's more of the question, Mike, is when we talk about the list of things that have gone wrong this year for the Jaguars is long. So there's not one thing that you feel like if you fix that, everything's better. And that, to me, is the most alarming. But I do want to ask another NFL question, because after the game last night, obviously the Steelers ultimately winning and moving on, they're leading the division. I just read something saying the last time the Steelers lost a Monday night home game, Mike Tomlin was 19 years old. 33 years later, the streak's at 22. How do the Steelers just keep doing it year after year, no matter who's at quarterback at this point?
A consistent brand of three-phase football is probably the simplest answer for this. Mike Tomlin and his leadership, and, I got to spend a brief moment in time there in training camp as a rookie in 2013, but it was just long enough to get a window into why Mike Tomlin has been so successful for so long, because he does the difficult things consistently on a daily basis that make success something that you can repeat based on all those daily habits. And they don't pay lip service to a lot of the things. The rest of us talk about football in 3 phases, but in that building, Danny Smith, the coordinator, is getting all this airtime as they block punts and return them for touchdowns like they did last night. That's a phase of the game that they invest heavily in the time that they're given inside that building. The guys that they work as a part of that, you see the buy-in across the board. And so to have that, to have a coach that understands and says, hey, we know the kind of defense that we have along the other side of the football. We know the production we got from Justin Fields the first 6 games of this season, but to still have the courage as a leader to say, hey, I can and believe that we are better when Russell Wilson is out there as a passer in the way that can help us beat a team like Baltimore in the division. I think that leadership and a consistent set of expectations he creates for that team in that building day in and day out allows them to do this.
We've gotten some votes for Tabasco and Sriracha on our text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, Mike. Also, have you ever tried chili garlic Cholula, per one of our listeners, who, of course, we affectionately refer to as Heeligans?
You know what? And shout out to the Heeligans. I have not had the chili garlic yet. I will absolutely add that because Cholula can do no wrong in my eyes. I would say the Tabasco people, who hurt you? Like, we don't have to pretend like it's good. I understand it's there. It's a readily available option. As someone that in my early 20s spent a lot of time eating my meals at Chipotle, I know it's the one right next to all the forks and the stuff that I used to, quite honestly, steal so that I wouldn't have to do dishes. But we don't have to act like that's a hot sauce worth mentioning in the same breath as these. Come on now. What better for you?
The Heeligan that voted for Tabasco also said that Texas Pete is trash, and if you like it, you're trash. So, we got them fired up and ready to go on a Tuesday here on Helmets and Heels. Mike Golic Jr., our guest on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. As we transition to college football with you now, Mike, I'm going to ask you the same question that we ran through in a segment last week, which is our college football midseason awards. We picked our most surprising team, our most disappointing team, Who are your most surprising and most disappointing teams at the halfway point of the college football season?
Yeah, most surprising, I would go Vanderbilt. I think the job that Clark Lee's done there, reviving that program. We know a program that he was a player at that cares deeply about what, he's done along with Diego Pavia, who came over with Jerry Kill from New Mexico State, and the reclamation project they've done there. They've really given Nashville something to be excited about. They're more than just the Alabama upset, although that is a moment to plant their flag in as a program. They absolutely have created something now that they can start to sustain as the facilities get upgraded around there and as they try to play something closer to consistent SEC football. And then on the disappointing side, it's impossible for me to go anywhere but Florida State. That team is so catastrophically bad, the fall from grace after last year. Mike Norvell, who had been this master of infusing players from the portal into this depth chart in a way that allowed them to supplement a roster that was already talented, this year just cracked at the foundation. The trenches weren't good enough. The quarterback situation's obviously been a mess all year long, and they're staring at some pretty dismal future in front of them as they're watching a team like Miami not only beat them, but as we saw with Mario Cristobal, openly chirp them and the other Florida teams at the press conference.
Mike, we already have a couple things in common when it comes to the hot sauce, but also Notre Dame, go Irish. And so I did want to talk a little bit about them. What are your thoughts? Notre Dame moves up. They're at that 8th in the AP rankings now, back in the top 10. Thoughts on Riley Leonard recently? And I feel like he's definitely feels like things have opened up a bit for him on the offense.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's worth remembering. I was having this conversation with someone off air a while back about the realities of modern college football that we ignore in a day and age where the portal makes it seem like, hey, it's just as easy as go in, insert a new player into the lineup. These are veterans. These are guys that have played college football already at other stops before if you're getting them out of the portal. And then you just go and they'll produce, forgetting all of the realities that, hey, some of these guys come over and, like Riley Leonard, didn't get a spring because he was injured, had a whole room full of portal wide receivers he didn't have a chance to get time under task with before he got to the fall. And so we're watching a lot of programs, and I think a reason we've had so many early season upsets where you've had group of 5 teams, even SCS teams, flirt with beating these Power 4 units because they've got continuity that these Power 5 schools have done away with in lieu of trying to go and find more talent in the portal. And so I think for Riley, you've seen him get more comfortable, I think, going back to the end of the first half against Miami of Ohio, when he finally gets that first touchdown pass of the season and just settled down a little bit. All that pressure had been mounting, even in the rout of Purdue, of a guy who had been deadly with his legs since he walked on campus, but didn't look comfortable throwing the football. I think now this offense that still has its heartbeat with his legs, with Jeremiah Love, who's been sensational in the backfield, finally looks comfortable in its own skin. Bo Collins and this wide receiver room are starting to get going. But the biggest and most important thing, and the reason that I'm willing to, I think, allow myself as a Notre Dame fan to get hurt again, is because they're finally overall starting to play like a team that actually looks like a playoff squad, and that is thanks to the job that their defense has done. The depth on that side of the football for Al Golden's unit that's already lost multiple players in the front 7. I would argue their best player in Benjamin Morrison at cornerback for the season, and watched young guys and freshmen step up left and right has been the anchor that's allowed this Notre Dame team to get their offense into gear as the season's progressed and now look like they're finally playing playoff caliber ball.
Mike Golic Jr., of course, with the DraftKings Network. You can catch Gojo and Golic each and every morning. Mike, are you still also doing college football games? Are you still calling games on the weekends too, or just focusing on the show during the football season?
We're in the show right now. I was fortunate to call Mountain West games for TNT for the first quarter of the season there, but our package is done there right now. So I get to sit and take in the games like everybody else on Saturday, which is a nice new change of pace. I love calling games, but there is something to be said for just plopping my butt on the couch or at a bar stool and getting to watch all these.
Love it. Well, perfect segue, because since you did call some Mountain West games, I was going to ask you who's the best team you've seen in person. Maybe that includes Notre Dame. Maybe it doesn't on the college front so far this year, as well as the other question of our midseason college football awards, which lends itself perfectly. Who is your Heisman at the halfway point?
Yeah, I think halfway Heisman, I would still give the edge to Ashton Genty right now, but I think we're seeing, and this is reflected in the odds all across, different sports books. I work at DraftKings, where you're seeing the quarterbacks who play in the Power 4, who are going to have consistently games that impact the playoff race more and more, starting to rise to the top. Dylan Gabriel, the current favorite, and Cam Ward behind him. So midseason, I would give it to Ashton Genty. There have just been very few running backs we've seen recently like him. So physical at the point of attack, has been able to break tackles, gets hit at or behind the line of scrimmage plenty and still breaks off these chunk plays, set the Mountain West record for 70-plus yard runs halfway through the season, and we know was on pace for a while to look like he could break Barry Sanders' rushing record. I think he's earned it through the first half of the season. I think this is where it gets tough now, though, because Miami, especially with Cam Ward, who would be a guy that I think has a real chance down the home stretch to put his hands firmly on that trophy, he just means so much to that team that we've seen defensively. Gives up yards, gives up points. And so Cam Ward has had to throw them through a couple of tough situations already and is going to have to if they want to get to the playoff the way they're capable of now.
Mike, we can't let you go without talking some SEC football. Texas A&M, would you have guessed that they'd be leading the SEC as we're heading into Florida-Georgia weekend, number one? Number two, how do you feel about that switch over to Marcel Reed?
It was like watching two completely different teams. I've rarely seen anything like that. We had a little bit of taste of that, albeit with the same quarterbacks in the Alabama-Georgia game, where the dichotomy between half one and half two was so stark we didn't know what went on in those halftime locker rooms. With this one, it was more apparent. Texas A&M in the first half was getting bullied by LSU defensively without that threat of quarterback run, which is something. Colin Klein as a coordinator, going back to his time when he was a player at Kansas State, has just been used to that as a fabric of his DNA. And, man, it felt like someone coming home after a long time away when all of a sudden he could call plays again for Marcel Reed, who we know filled in for Connor Wegman when he was hurt coming off the early portion of the season. But what he did changing the math on LSU's defense, I don't know how you can go and make the switch back. Certainly you can maybe, if you need to, get in a pinch with the passing attack, go to Wegman, who's better there. But I don't think the difference in Connor Wegman, the improvement he presents as a passer, isn't enough in my mind to offset what Marcel Reed allows you to call in terms of your run game that gets so much more diverse, so much more dynamic, and puts teams in a compromised position. Because I'm going to be honest, I kind of saw this Texas A&M thing coming, maybe not first in the SEC, but I said before the season, Mike Elko, who is a defensive coach at heart, has a defense stocked full of freak show talent. Nick Scorton and the rest of those guys, Shamar Turner, have been bats out of hell on defense for most of this year up front. And now on offense, when you combine that with Colin Klein's play calling with a quarterback he's more comfortable with, I do think this is a team that's absolutely a playoff contender down the stretch here as we sort through this.
Did you hesitate after that week one against Notre Dame at all of your Texas A&M thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, listen, defensively, they looked as advertised. And if you're a Notre Dame fan who heard all about the 6 starts we walked into against that team on the offensive line, it showed. Those guys made Notre Dame's offensive line after a couple of big runs in areas where Riley and Jeremiah Love helped them out. They went out there and they won the day, that D-line for Texas A&M. So I knew that side of the ball was going to be good, but then seeing what Marcel Reed added as a dimension, yeah, when I saw Connor Wegman, I was a little unsure. There were NFL people I talked to who thought he could be in contention by the end of this season to be the first quarterback off the board, and you just see even the decision-making last week before this game, putting the ball in harm's way too often, 2 turnovers that could have been easily 4 or 5 in that prior game. And so I just think, unfortunately, it might not be coming together. And that's not all his fault. The offensive line doesn't protect well enough when he's in there. There weren't receivers that were always open at the same time. But the picture just changed too dramatically when he's out of the game for me to think that he's going to be their main guy going forward.
We have a couple of Heeligans who do have Indiana area codes, and they appear to be Notre Dame fans, Mike, because they chime in basically every other day with something about Notre Dame, and they want you to note that Notre Dame beat the first-place team in the SEC.
Hey, you know what? Believe me, no one's going to let people know that more than I am, because for Notre Dame, who has that NIU loss that we still got to contend with, that win on the road in week 1 of the season where we form a lot of opinions, that's aging like a fine wine, and they're going to need it because after beating Navy, Army's the only ranked team left on their schedule. So Notre Dame fans, you better get in Aggie gear as your side hustle team for the rest of the season because you need them to continue to do very well.
And if they continue to do very well, they could find themselves in the college football playoff and not the Gator Bowl. But if they are to come here to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, we would welcome you back with open arms, Mike Golic Jr. We appreciate you taking the time as always.
Absolutely. If I make it down there, I'll be sure to bring plenty of hot sauce for you guys.
We will bring the hot sauce, and we'll meet you at Lynch's, sir. Appreciate you always.
Thanks, guys.
There he goes. That is Mike Golic Jr. Of course, you can find him at Mike Golic Jr. on X, and again, part of the DraftKings network on Gojo and Golic each and every morning. A loaded Active Health Jacks Tuesday continues here on Helmets and Heels. Clay Hensley, former Major League Baseball pitcher and World Series champion, joins us next, oh boy, to break down the Yankees and the Dodgers. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by November 7th.
Hey, Jacksonville Koozies, it's me, Soccer Sam, for Salvatore's Pizza. Rochester, New York's favorite pizza is now open in Jacksonville, Florida, Tapestry Park at the Loft Hotel Plaza. Daily $10 deals, dine in with beer and wine, and delivery at salvatores.com. The famous Formoso family brings Salvatore's Pizza, Rochester's favorite pizza, including our 32-piece sheet pizza for your next event. Do it with me, baby. Salvatores.com.
Mia here, and our listeners have been killing it in a year full of surprises with MyBookie. MyBookie is the one book that has your back, folks. No fluff, no second guessing, just straight up action. Does your other sports book pay out when you push on a bet? MyBookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we have you covered. Step 1, use our promo code 1010XL. That'll double your bankroll with a 100% deposit right from the jump. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. The NFL teams with powerhouse offensive lines are dominating the run game this year, and betting game total unders has been printing money. Stack that with MyBookie's Risk-Free Thursdays. Yup, you heard that right. There's a new risk-free odds boost each and every Thursday. Find the bet by clicking the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds your money. Sign up now with promo code 1010XL and get your double deposit bonus. The best sign-up bonus for Florida bettors. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. How would you describe the typical engagement ring customer that comes in your store?
Frank, at Underwoods, we often see customers who've shopped around and are totally confused about how to select a diamond. Now, they're looking for somebody qualified who'll tell them the truth and they can trust. They've heard about certification on diamonds, wholesale diamonds, internet diamonds, deals that a friend of a friend can get them, and the prices will range from unbelievably low to unbelievably high. One of the reasons for the confusion is if you look at the factors of grading a diamond, after you know the carat weight, there are 11 grades for cut, 21 grades for color, 11 grades for clarity, so you got 2,541 different possibilities, each with a different price. That's where Underwoods helps straighten out the confusion, because we have the American Gem Society credentialed professionals that'll guide a customer the right diamond for them. One she'll be happy with for the rest of her life.
Underwoods, where customers are served with quality and respect. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
What Major League Baseball player has drawn the most walks during his career? The answer next.
How long has it been since you compared homeowners' insurance rates? Log on to southernoak.com to get an instant quote or find an agent near you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Barry Bonds holds the record for most career walks, being given first base over 2,500 times.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 29, 2018, Golden State shooting guard Klay Thompson breaks NBA record for most three-pointers in a game with 14 in the Warriors game against the Bulls.
In its final year, we encourage you to help create great futures for young people when you run or walk at Mackenzie's Run, Saturday, November 23rd. Join Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida for a 5K and 1 mile fun run through the beautiful stadium course at TPC Sawgrass. Enjoy food, live music, face painting, family fun, and more at our Runners Village. Register at mackenziesrun.org. Mackenzie's 5K and Fun Run, November 23rd. mackenziesrun.org.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool? Today's
contestant, a gravy taster from Jacksonville, Florida, me, Dennis Mosley.
Hi, Ken.
Okay, Dennis. 100 plumbers surveyed, top answer on the board. What does it mean if someone says your home has hard water?
It's made of ice? Let's see. Hard water. Oh, is it club soda mixed 4-to-1 with vodka?
Last chance, Dennis. What is hard water?
Oh, is it that lime scale stuff that makes my taps all crusty?
That's right, Dennis. And a water treatment system from Bueller Air and Plumbing will eliminate troublesome lime scale deposits that can ruin your expensive appliances and let your neighbors know for sure that you are cool.
I wonder if I can get me a gin and tonic faucet.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman with his thoughts on the recent play of Trevor Lawrence.
I believe that he can become a really good quarterback and maybe a great quarterback, but right now he's not there. But he's certainly better than junk. I mean, a lot of people that just say, oh, he's trash, let's get rid of him. I mean, for those people, you have no clue. I mean, literally, I'm just, and not trying to be harsh, but you have to have a little patience, and you also have to be able to open your eyes and understand some of the things that he is doing is great. Is it perfect? No. But they've got to be better around him as a football team.
Jeff Lageman this morning on Jaguars Today. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars Update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
So when our producer extraordinaire, RJ Saunders, said to us, hey, good buddy of mine, Clay Hensley, former MLB pitcher, on-air personality, of course, a World Series champion, wants to hop on and talk Yankees, Dodgers. He's been watching. He's been scouting the games. Clay, I said to RJ, oh, good, he can tell me how to fix the Yankees, which is something I don't think anyone can do at this juncture. But if you can, I'm all ears. Thanks for joining us on an Active Health Jacks Tuesday.
Oh, no, thanks for guys. Hey, I appreciate y'all having me on. RJ's great. I did scare him a little bit last night whenever he was kind of following up with me. I told him, I said, so we're going to talk the Mets Royals, right? And he almost, his heart almost dropped.
Hey, now, OMG is an absolute banger of a song. Apparently, Jazz Chisholm used it as his walk-off song last night, too. I'm not so sure as a Yankees fan how I feel about that, even though I was rooting for a Subway Series. But, Clay, largely why I was rooting for a Subway Series was because I knew what could happen if the Yankees went against a Dodgers team that was performing at full strength. And certainly, that is what we have seen through 3 games thus far.
Yeah, without a doubt. Hey, look, here's the thing with the Yankees right now. I mean, they're obviously struggling, right? They're down 3-0 on a series with the Dodgers, and look, the problem here is that they're just not getting production out of the entire lineup. I mean, outside of Soto and Stanton, the rest of the team's batting 164 with 1 RBI. That's 9 for 55 at bat. 1 RBI in the World Series. When you're talking about that lineup, they should be doing. They just need to get a lot more production out of the lower half. I mean, pretty much out of the entire lineup outside of Soto and Stanton.
Yeah, and Clay, I think that's one of the storylines on the opposite side, which I do want to talk about, obviously, the Dodgers, too. Freddie Freeman, though, has been so fun. 3rd straight game with the home run and obviously that grand slam in the first game. So I want to rewind to that one because I feel like that moment was cool for a lot of obvious reasons. Maybe it probably broke a lot of Yankees fans' hearts, but for everybody else, it was really fun to watch. And so what do you think was going through Boone's mind during that time, though? Bringing Cortez in, making that pitching switch, walking Mookie, a lot of kind of maybe things not everybody agrees with going on there, and then to pitch to Freddie.
Well, look, I mean, it's one of those things that I think if you look back at it and, you're kind of almost like an armchair quarterback situation, right? I mean, if it plays out the way Aaron Boone had envisioned and the reason he made the switch was, I think we're sitting here talking about like, hey, that was a brilliant move. He made the right matchup call. Depending on the reports that are out there on him, he felt like it was the right call to do. I played with Aaron I know him very well, know the Boone family very well, awesome family, and, they're baseball people, and they know how to play the game, and they know how to manage the game. For whatever reason, I think in that situation, Boone felt like the matchup was going to be the right one. Obviously, Fred Freeman right now with the bat that he's got going on, obviously he came out as a winner out of those two. So, I don't know what Aaron was thinking on that one. I think it's one of those situations where I think they have some report, they have some information that we're not privy to, as fans or just watching the game as it's going on. And he felt like that, that was a situation where they would have been able to attack him, and it just didn't work out.
Clay Hensley is our guest on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, pitched for the Padres, pitched for the Marlins, and, of course, pitched for the world champion San Francisco Giants during that 2012 season. Clay, let's stay on the pitching topic and on pitching in general when it comes to decisions managerially in this postseason. I'm fascinated to get a former major league pitcher's take on this idea of pulling your starting pitching, pulling Garrett Cole as he looks like he's mowing through the lineup in game one after just 5-6 innings. And that has been a consistent theme, not just with the Yankees and Aaron Boone's decisions, but it feels like league-wide since the postseason began. And the idea of, well, you don't want your starting pitcher to go through the lineup 3 or 4 times. But yeah, if the series goes to 7 games, now you have relief pitchers who the same hitters have seen 4, 5, 6 times over the course of a week and a half.
Yeah, without a doubt. Look, I think the game is obviously it's evolving and changing, right? And a lot of it has gotten so stat-based driven. And I don't know if I'm necessarily in agreement on all that. I feel like I'm probably one of the last of like the old school kind of players, where we were able to, break out double plays and police the game ourselves and take guys out at home if we had to, stuff like that. The game has gotten so protected, I think, and I think it's gotten in a situation where the managing style has shifted into that direction as well. Look, you got Garrett Cole out there. This is your horse. I'm still under the mindset and the way when we played, and I didn't make it sound like it was so long ago, but it has changed significantly over the last probably 5 to 10 years. And the fact that a guy like Garrett Cole's got to go out there. He's your horse. We're talking 120, 130 pitches. And you're mowing the lineup down. I just don't think that you really need to play the matchup or the percentages or what the metrics call for, in a situation like that to kind of pull Cole in that situation and not leave him in the game, especially when he's mowing them down. You can't really, in my mind, it's like you look at some of these stats and the way they handle the staffs now, especially in the postseason. You just can't factor in, a guy's heart in these models or what a guy's doing, kind of like the set of stones, so to speak. And, I think in that situation right there, I would have liked to see Cole go out there and continue to mow him down if as he was doing that.
Yeah, I think that as baseball fans, when you watch in those moments, you get very frustrated. But I know there's reasons behind everything. And just as you were talking earlier about Aaron Boone's decision, too, I think the big question here, Clay, is it's going to be very hard for the Yankees to win this thing at this point. I was reading a stat earlier out of the history of the best of 7 postseason series. 40 teams have been down 3-0, and 1 have ended up winning that series, and that was the 2004 Red Sox, obviously. But
more salt in the wounds. Thank you, Tyler.
Sorry,
thank you for it.
I'm sorry. But so I think the bigger question at this point is, can the Yankees get 1? I think that's the big question.
Well, that's what Aaron Boone's focused on right now. I mean, the idea, I think, where Aaron's at, the Yankees in general, is that you can't really focus on anything past but the game that's in front of you. And, that's really, you got to get it down, finite to the point of where it's just pitch to pitch. We got to get on the bag. The whole idea is to get a lead, maintain that lead, and then push it and force another game. Worrying about what's going to happen or game 5 or game 6 is irrelevant at this point. You just need to focus from pitch to pitch, inning to inning, get a lead, and then keep it that simple and try to force another game. Play to live another day.
Yeah. I will say I guess Rizzo's familiar with a 3-1, being down 3-1.
That's true.
There's that.
That's true. And for what it's worth, the Yankees claim, Clay, you can fact check me on this if they actually did prove this is true. They are wearing, if you notice, the turtlenecks from those 90s, early 2000s Yankee postseason runs that they found in a box somewhere in the bowels of Yankee Stadium from the old Yankee Stadium. So maybe
dug it up.
Maybe that's the juju that they need. But ultimately, Clay, I'm curious your take. If the Los Angeles Dodgers are to end this series tonight, even if it goes to game 5, game 6, if they are the 2024 World Series champions. Shohei Ohtani does it in his first year across town for the Dodgers. Where does this team rank, would you say? And look, I understand we're prisoners of the moment, but in terms of the super team model, the fact that they went out, they paid big money for Shohei Ohtani, or I guess they finangled the numbers. They paid big money for Freddie Freeman. This was a team that was constructed largely through free agencies and trades, but also supplanted through the draft. I'm curious where this roster construction for you would rank all time.
Well, look, I think they did a great job over there. Dave Roberts has done a great job managing that ball club. The brass and the front office obviously went out there and, look, they put up the money. They put their money where their mouth was. And, look, Shohei Ohtani, I don't even want to say a generational player. This guy, I think, is one of these guys that comes along once in a lifetime. I don't think we'll see another guy like that, for many, many years. This guy comes out and pitches. Hits home runs, all-star from, both positions. It's ridiculous. But first year, you're going out there, and I'm thinking if I'm in the brass, I'm in the operations side, and we're signing these guys. We're bringing in Freeman. We're making a statement that we're going to go out there and we're going to try to win ball games and get the best players, and we'll do whatever we got to take, pay them, and whatever we got to do to make that happen in order to bring a championship back to down to Los Angeles. So I think it's got to be one of the rosters that was put together. It's got to be up there with at least top 2, top 3. I mean, they did a great job. And they're doing it also. Kershaw has been down, with injuries and struggling at times. And the pitching staff, I honestly thought that the pitching staff for New York had a lot more depth than LA did, going into this series. But I think guys, Walker Buehler going up there and just absolutely mowing it down and stepping up for him, huge. I think that this lineup and this roster is going to be something to be contended with for a long time, and that's what the purpose was. You're going to go out there and you're going to get some of these not old free agents, but they're not spring chickens, but at the same time they're kind of in the prime of their game. They went out and paid for it, and they got it done. And look, historically speaking, too, you guys, from what it sounds like we're Yankees fans over there. You've seen it happen over there too. You've seen the Yankees go out there, try to buy every player that they could possibly get that's on the free agent market that's worth, all the studs that are out there, and they don't get it done. So, you can see that it happens on both sides of it. Sometimes it works out. Right now, it's working out for the Dodgers.
I'm personally a Cubs fan, and we spend, but not on the right people.
I was just going to say, for clarification, I am the Yankees fan on the program. Taylor is a Cubs fan.
Okay, well, good. So, I like the Yankees, and I had some of my best games were at Wrigley Field, but both solid teams.
I did want to ask you on the flip side of that conversation about roster construction, Clay. That has been the knock on the Yankees. They've been a sub-500 baseball team, arguably since the middle part of June. And this is a team that has largely been buoyed by the play of the MVP, Aaron Judge, of course, has not shown up in the postseason, and the play of Juan Soto, and that pitching staff that you alluded to that found something down the home stretch of the season. So I'm curious, and look, Aaron Boone is a friend of yours. Aaron Boone is a friend of our coworker, Dave Campo, formerly the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who works with us here at 1010XL. I don't want to call for a man's job, but what happens if the Yankees are to be swept tonight?
Well, I think that, with the lineup that they have, look, I mean, Judge right now has pretty much almost had, been non-existent in this World Series. And I think that, you look at the lineup, you got the tools in place. I think that, it might be out of time for Aaron Boone. I think that if they go out there and they get swept, they do it in New York, it's going to obviously leave a bad taste. New York fans are pretty hardcore. So is the ownership and the staff and the brass there as well. So I think that they'll probably shake it up. I think that you might see a situation where Aaron might get let go on this one if they end up getting swept on this. I mean, look, that's tough to do in the World Series. We did it in 2012. When we played the Detroit Tigers, went in there, we took 4 from them in Detroit, and it was just. You can see the head start to roll after that, there in Detroit after the 2012 season. So I'd imagine the same is probably going to roll out here.
Which is
let me rephrase that. If the Yankees end up losing, I don't want to make anybody mad over there.
So you're saying there's a chance, Clay. You think down 3-0, there's a chance the Yankees push this one to the brink.
Look, there's always a chance, right? Like if you're out there, you always have a chance. If you're out there and you're feeling like you're beat, you don't have a chance to kind of take this all the way down to Game 7. You got to play to live another day. Going back to whenever we were in the playoffs with the Giants, we lost the first 2 games in each. In the division series and the championship series, we were down. We were down 2 games to Cincinnati, and we had to go back to Cincinnati and win out in order to move forward. And Cincinnati hadn't been swept at home the entire season. So that was a tall order, and we ended up doing it. And we just took it upon ourselves as players. We didn't let, we obviously were having the coaches that were calling plays and guys were plays, giving signs and stuff. But for the most part, we took it upon ourselves to, move a guy over if we had to. If a guy was on first, lay down the bunt, even if they didn't call it. And so we had that internal team meeting where we said, look, this is our game. We got to make it happen, and we got to do what we got to do, whether Boach or anybody calls for it. If you feel like it's a play that needs to be made, let's just get on the same page, and I'll do it, and we'll just go one pitch at a time. And we ended up doing it, and we ended up finishing as champions.
So you're saying there's a chance. Clay Hensley.
There's always a chance.
We love to hear that. Game 4 tonight of the World Series between the Yankees and the Dodgers. Clay Hensley, former Major League pitcher. Thank you so much for joining us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. From your lips to God's ears, my friend, let's turn this thing around.
Yes, I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
There he goes, Clay Hensley. Hey, he also noted what I've been saying all along, which is, maybe, possibly a change at the helm, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, you're in the World Series talking about a change, but
it's
also in this situation being down 3-0 because maybe you need that change.
And it's something that we've talked about to bring it back to the football team in this town. Even if the Jaguars are to be that team in the AFC that is currently under 500 and turns it around, ultimately, is the ecosystem the right ecosystem for the players, the right system for them to maximize and reach their full potential?
I feel like one of the best when you talk about that, if you want to compare it to the NFL, is that the Matthew Stafford Goff change. Truly, because both of them, you saw moments, and then they go to new teams, and Matthew Stafford wins a Super Bowl, and the Lions are the best team in the NFL, it looks like right now.
And they both were good players in their previous stops.
They just needed that little something extra from the coaching and the everything kind of around
the
them.
Infrastructure needed to be circle peg, circle hole, square peg, square hole. We will get it back to football. We will also have our heel highlights coming up next on an Active Health Jacks Tuesday right here on Helmets and Heels.
A sturdy defense keeps your end zone safe like a superior fence keeps your family and pets safe.
It's fantastic.
After the game, catch the Superior Fence and Rail Defensive Player of the Game.
What a baller.
On 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJacks.com.
I'm Taylor Rose with our Remedy Staffing Westside office off of Normandy Boulevard. We are helping great people find great jobs. Remedy has helped some of the best employers in Jacksonville find talented job seekers like you for over 25 years. Our current job openings range from entry-level distribution center pickers to equipment operators. Apply today at remedygoodjobs.com. Don't wait. Apply at remedygoodjobs.com now.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here, reminding you that November is Veterans Month, a time to celebrate and honor the heroes who've served our country. This November, Awaken 180 Weight Loss is showing their appreciation for active duty veterans and spouses by offering 15% off your entire Awaken 180 program, free support for life included. It's a thank you for the sacrifices you've made, protecting our freedoms and making this country what it is. This is special. Awaken 180 has never offered a discount, ever. If this incentive can help turn your focus on you, your health, your goals, and your happiness, I say go for it. Do what I did and choose the solution for weight loss. So if you're active duty, a veteran, or a spouse of one, this month is about you. Celebrate Veterans Month with 15% off your Awaken 180 program, and as with all clients, receive free support for life after reaching your goals. Do what I did, what Hacker did, and what Matt Hayes did. and over 23,000 others have done. Take control at awaken180weightloss.com.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists congratulating this week's high school scholar athlete, Trevor Bryan, senior football player at Fletcher High. Trevor is on the A list and is also a track and field athlete. Congratulations, Trevor.
Want to make sure he gets to the game on time?
Tommy, your uniform is ready. Let's go.
Install a natural gas dryer, and you're guaranteed faster drying times and softer laundry. And now you can earn a valuable cash rebate up to $200 on an energy-efficient natural gas dryer. Show your home love with natural gas, and it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
This is Jerry Holland, Duval County Supervisor of Elections. If you're like me, there never seems to be enough hours in the day. You seem to be on the go from sunup to sundown, which is why I vote early. Listen, this ballot is very long. I'm talking at least 2 pages, and that's why I need the flexibility of early voting. I can choose the location that works for me and my schedule. You can cast your ballot at any of our 24 early voting sites. Visit northfloridavotes.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Lauren Brooks here. Now at Hodges Mazda, get 2.9% APR for 72 months on the 2024 Mazda CX-90, Mazda's largest and most luxurious SUV. Or drive home a 2023 Mazda CX-30 2.5S Preferred for as low as $26,999. This compact SUV is designed for both city driving and weekend getaways. Discover the Hodges Mazda difference with a non-commissioned sales team who are always focused on your best interests. Plus, enjoy 2 years of free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at hodgesmazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants. Expires October 31st, 2024.
This is 1010XL's Dylan Denmark. They call me Pockets on the radio, but for my floral needs, I only call Kuhn Flowers. Never take chances when you send a full arrangement. Always use the best in the business, Kuhn Flowers. Kuhn Flowers.
Thinning or balding hair? Introducing Scalp Micropigmentation now at IHRS. SMP is a procedure for men and women, looks like your own growing hair, and corrects thinning areas. SMP is perfect for men and women who shave their head and want a full head of hair look. Call IHRS now, 904-777-IHRS, 904-777-4477, or visit hairforme.com today.
Welcome to ABS Advanced Business Solutions, your local authorized technology partner, and home to Xerox copiers.
Advanced Business Solutions.
Universal Roof and Contracting presents the Offensive Player of the Game. Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is universal.
Trevor Lawrence was a warrior on Sunday versus Green Bay. The franchise quarterback recorded 308 yards on 21 of 32 passing and chipped in 2 passing touchdowns as well as 1 rushing touchdown. Lawrence absolutely left the stadium as the BMID, the big man in Duval. Trevor Lawrence is your Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game.
Rake in the savings this fall with Universal Roof and Contracting. Enjoy 15% off all roof repairs and replacements with financing options as low as $115 a month. Protecting your home has never been easier. Schedule your free roof inspection today. Call 855-ROOF-HELP. This offer expires October 31st. Protect your home and your wallet. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by St. Nicholas Guns and Range. The Noles are back in Tallahassee, getting ready to face the North Carolina Tar Heels, who are coming off a dominant 41-14 win against Virginia, with the Noles coming off the depressing loss against Miami. Noles head coach Mike Norvell stresses the importance for the team to turn their focus to the next game up.
Our focus goes into this week as I challenge players, coaches, everybody involved. Our focus this week is to go get it done with the opportunity that's in front of us. And there's been a lot of work that's gone into it, a lot of push. Some young guys getting new opportunities, guys that are fighting for more opportunities in what they get to do. But it's still about ultimately the performance of what we do and going to make sure that shows up on Saturday.
The Noles and the Tar Heels kick off in Tally Saturday afternoon at 3:30. It's 76 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
1 o'clock hour is here on an action-packed Active Health Jacks Tuesday right here on Helmets and Heels. No Lauren Brooks on the reserve injured list, hopefully back tomorrow. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. We are with you until 2 p.m. And without further ado, let's begin hour number 2 with our highlights.
Now, Heels Highlights. Unbelievable! On 1010XL.
Brendan Sullivan gives the Iowa offense new life and is officially QB1. Bye-bye Cade McNamara.
Offense coming to life under Brendan Sullivan. Sullivan! Touchdown, Iowa!
Jameis Winston loves God and Eminem.
The word you used before the game was unwavering. How do you describe this victory?
Unwavering faith. Ultimate belief, depending on the Lord, and depending on the Lord should have been first. He gets all the glory. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for this win.
It's not often that you get another opportunity like you have just received in the NFL. What does it mean to lead these guys, and what could be the start of what you said is something special moving forward?
Man, it's a white boy from Detroit that I really admire named Eminem. He said, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity lasts once in a lifetime. And I know I got a quote, Eminem, he's from Detroit, he right up the road, but man, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that the Lord provided me with this opportunity. I'm grateful for my teammates, my coaches, and these amazing fans.
Ian Eagle throwing shots at Joe Burrow during his CBS broadcast.
At some point with Joe Burrow and his hair, you knew it was going to go from Eminem to Lance
Number
Bass.
75 of the offense.
Wow. Multiple Eminem drops this weekend.
We've got Cade McNamara, Ian Eagle. Wow.
Okay, it was so
Florida
funny.
State fans, if you are disappointed with your season so far, know that you still have Jameis and one of the greatest character arcs of the last 10 plus years. I understand, especially as a woman, I understand how hard it is to reckon with who Jameis Winston was in his early 20s, who he is now. And of course, coupling that with the fact that he shares a quarterback room with Deshaun Watson, the nasty man. I can't come away from it, though, Taylor, without thinking that this is a man who has dedicated his life to the Lord. He has found the Lord. He has found faith. And he has apologized for those wrongs. And he has done such a complete 180 to where he is one of the most endearing characters in sport.
Yeah, and that's why I posted when we kind of had the joke yesterday where I was like, pain everywhere from Jameis. And I posted that clip on everywhere because I was like, that's how I felt yesterday after the Jags and Bears game. But the amount of people that commented on it was like, wait, you hate Jameis Winston. I was like, I truly did. I used to hate Jameis Winston. But there's something to be said for someone who really does admit wrongs and change. And that's what we don't have that conversation enough of the people that do make mistakes, especially young kids. You're in college, and I would never excuse some of the things that Jameis did younger. But what he's done is he's redeemed himself, and like you said, he's turned himself into to the Lord, and he's been very one of these guys that have been open about the changes that he's made to be a better person. And even we see it, we play a lot of these clips that are hilarious and quirky and funny because that's who Jameis is. But if you ever go watch Jameis Winston also talk about serious stuff, he'll still say his weird stuff in between because that's just who he is. But he does talk a lot.
Boy from Detroit.
I know. Do not miss your chance to. Yeah, but he is very vocal too about the work he's put in to be a better person. So he realized, he realized there was some time there that he was not being the best of people. And so he's just, there's clips on TikTok that are like 10 minutes long of just Jameis being funny. And whether he's saying stuff, the one in the huddle is one of the funniest. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it, but somebody else making a speech, I can't remember who it was, and they're like, look to the person to your left. And Jameis puts his arm around who's ever to his left and literally bends down and looks him straight in the eyes. He's just staring at him. And you can tell the guy's like, why are you looking at me like this? He's just so crazy and quirky. But yeah, we had the Eminem there. Then Ian Eagles talking about Joe Burrow's hair turning from Eminem to
Ian's,
Lance Bass.
People forget. Ian, and look, disclaimer, he is one of my lifelong mentors.
Yes.
So, yes, a good personal friend of our program as well as me. And Look, Ian Eagle, when it comes to pop culture, is undefeated. Never lost. He was the first one before Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were out in the public right here in Duval County, week 2 of last year. He had a little something up his sleeve, a blank space that Travis Kelce found. We forget he was first. I can't say I'm surprised with those comments. Yeah.
So some good ones in there. I think that we could have posted any million clips of the serious stuff that happened, but it's fun to sprinkle in some funny moments sometimes.
Yeah, and Iowa's quarterback situation is certainly.
She struggled saying that. Robot said.
McNamara. It's a funny moment in and of itself. For those of you who are unfamiliar, I will be brief. Iowa, of course, notoriously went into the transfer portal for arguably the first time ever for a quarterback and got Cade McNamara, who had led Michigan to the college football playoff not so long ago, but then ultimately lost his job to J.J. McCarthy. Tampering, potential recruiting violation. Kirk Ferentz was suspended week 1 of this season. And now we fast forward 8 weeks, and Cade McNamara was 7 of 13 for 73 yards and a pick in the first half this past weekend, ultimately benched, although they're not saying that, for Brendan Sullivan, the Northwestern transfer, who danced all over Northwestern, his former team, 40-14 the final. I honestly do want to compare it to the conversation we just had, Taylor, because I know this is what college football fans in the Midwest, what they're feeling right now, which is Brendan Sullivan may have made you feel better against a 3-win Northwestern team because he is a dual threat quarterback, because he is able to at least give your offense a different dimension. But does he actually solve the problem of Iowa's offense? The answer is no, because the actual system, the infrastructure, arguably is broken and has been broken for years. And that is where, again, it's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole to a larger picture that is not working. And that's where, when we talk about the offensive situation here in Jacksonville, when we look at the New York Yankees, who are in the World Series, despite their shortcomings, sometimes even when you are winning, which Iowa's a 5-win team at this juncture, it ultimately is just kicking the can further down the line.
Yeah, and if you were talking about earlier, the Florida State fans, if they're sad, they can pay attention to, or they can just look to Jameis Winston. Iowa fans, you guys can go cheer for Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, CDJ got a nice play on the drill this morning. I do think that conversation about circle, peg, circle hole, square, peg, square hole leads a little bit into your tangent. Does it not? Let's hit it.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
So I mentioned this in Crosstalk, and I also mentioned it at the top of the show, that my tangent, I was looking into the slow starts that the Jags have had, because I've heard Jeff Lageman mention it many times this last couple weeks about how he sees this as a big issue. So I wanted to look a little more in depth about the Jags' slow starts, and then also other teams, and see what some of these other teams, that whether they struggle with slow starts or they're the better teams, what they look like. And there's outliers. There's always outliers for everything. So in both of these numbers, if you're looking at the teams that have the fast starts that score in the first, and that doesn't mean you have to score 14 points in the first quarter. That just means they're getting something on the board in the first quarter to get their offense moving a little bit. And so there are a couple on each side that also are a little bit of the outliers. But I think for the most part, when I go through these lists, you'll understand how important it is. So when you look, for example, at the first quarter, so this is first quarter points per game in the NFL. This is the average points per game in the first quarter. The number one team in the NFL right now in points in the first quarter are the Minnesota Vikings with 10.3. I don't think most people would be shocked. This has been an offense that has been pretty consistent from week 1 throughout the season so far, and being able to score and score fast. So I'll just go through the list. If you look at the, let's say, top 10 or so, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Houston, Green Bay, Indy, Detroit, Tennessee, Washington, New Orleans. So I think when you look at some of the outliers, the Titans would probably be one where people would be shocked because they only have one win.
Hey, now, Calvin Ridley had, 120 yards in the first quarter or something like that, and then also had 2 fumbles.
Yes. But Minnesota, people wouldn't be shocked. Tampa Bay, people wouldn't be shocked. People have been criticizing Houston, but one thing that you have to give credit to Houston on is they start fast and they finish good too. Like their first and fourth quarters are their best football that they play, which leads to what they've been able to do. But Houston, still, they're obviously leading the division. Green Bay, their offense has been pretty high-powered. Indy, people also want to complain about that, but Indy also is, I think they're 4-4 now, but they've had this offense, even without not really knowing what's going on in the quarterback and having not the best quarterback play, are still coming in and theirs is a 5.6 average in the first quarter. Tennessee, I think that's a shock. Washington, I don't think anybody would be shocked. So when you look at the list of those teams, in my opinion, I think for the most part you would say, yeah, that makes sense. The outliers, I think, would be the Saints and the Titans to me, that you would be kind of like, that's kind of wild. They start
But it's
fast.
important to note that the start of a football game, the start of the first quarter, 9 times out of 10, the first 10 to 12 plays are scripted.
Yes.
And so, especially for a young offense led by a first-year head coach in Brian Callahan, at times led by Will Levis and or Mason Rudolph, you would argue that, hey, they're trying to make this easy. They've been working on said game plan and those first 10 to 12 scripted plays all week long, and it's when they're out of structure that's when the struggles arise, which is what is so perplexing if you're a Jaguars fan, because you would hope that you have also sat down and said, here's our first 10 to 12 plays.
But the Jacksonville have the 4th worst in the first quarter in points per game. And so I also wanted to look at the 4th quarter because I felt like, and we mentioned it last week, the 2nd and 3rd quarter, you feel like the Jags, that's where they score the most points. That's where they feel like you have the most rhythm. They can never start fast. So the first quarter feels like it's wasted. And then by the 4th quarter, you always feel like there's some interception or some fumble or multiple penalties that start to hurt them. And so when you go to the 4th quarter side of the ball, the best team are the Colts. And that's why I think the Colts have been able to do what they've done, even though they don't have, to me, the best team on paper. But because they're able to start and finish strong, that's helped them a ton. Chicago, who has one of the worst first quarter points per game, has the 2nd best 4th quarter points per game. So that's helped them in that aspect. But outside of that, it's Tampa Bay, one of the better offenses, obviously, before Godwin and Mike Evans go down.
We're going to need a little sound effect whenever the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is referenced on this program.
I know, we're like,
forward. Just a little, I need like a light bulb, a sound effect or something like that going off, or like dun, dun, dun.
But these are the teams behind that. Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Philly, Denver, Baltimore, Washington. Like, those are teams that you want to be clumped in. These are teams that at the end of the game, even maybe all of these are not starting strong, but they're getting a field goal in the first and they're able to finish at the end. And so it's funny because I was already pre-planning this tangent, and then I go through, and Daniel Griffiths, who we reference a lot on here with all of his analytics, posted, he said, start slow, finish weak, team efficiency in the 1st and 4th quarter. So defensively, the Jags have the worst defense in the 1st and 4th quarters in the NFL. But offensively, they also have the, let's say, 4th worst offense in the 1st and 4th quarters in the NFL. You are not going to win a lot of football games if you are not starting fast and you are not finishing strong. And so even when I went through, because I looked at some of the numbers, like specifically, and I know we have to hit break, so I'll make this fast. But Jags, for example, they only have 20 first quarter points.
That's through 8 games, folks.
Through 8 games, 20 first quarter points. When you look at the better teams in the league, Buffalo has 38. The Texans have 50 first quarter points. Pittsburgh only has 25, but they have a lot of 4th quarter points. The Lions have 38. So when you look at some of these teams that we would consider being the high-powered offense, they all have 38 to 50 plus points in the first quarter, and the Jags have 20 in 8 games. Also, some of those teams already have bye weeks, too, and so, like the Lions.
Rick Baloo joins us next. From one futile offensive operation to another, Florida State Seminoles fireside chat with our very own Rick Baloo comes up next right here on Helmets and Heels.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
That's right, I'm Tommy Mack, and it's all about Duval and defense. Offense, special teams, baby. Check me out every Friday from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Hey, Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. Are you looking for a remix on the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich? The Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich is a flavorful spin on a familiar favorite. Created with Chick-fil-A filet, a drizzle of honey, pickled jalapenos, and a spread of savory pimento cheese. The Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich combines your favorite flavors with a twist. And this year, it's back with a bite with a spicy filet option. Available for a limited time only, so stop by and enjoy one today at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant.
Mia here for MyBookie. Our listeners have killing it in a year full of surprises. MyBookie is the one book that's got your back. No fluff, no second guessing, straight up action. Does your other sports book pay out when you push on a bet? MyBookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we've got you covered. Step 1, use our promo code 1010XL. That will double your bankroll with a 100% deposit bonus right from the jump. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. The NFL teams with powerhouse offensive lines are dominating the run game this year, and betting game total unders has been printing money. Stack that with MyBookie's risk-free Thursdays. Why wait? That's right there, a new risk-free odds boost every Thursday. To find the bet, click the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds your money. Sign up now and get your double deposit bonus with MyBookie, the best sign-up bonus for Florida bettors. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Rick Baloo for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation. Light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's The Mangler.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
It's the chomp of the swamp and the bark of the dogs. Florida Georgia Week is enhanced by Ackerman Urology and Cancer Center and Kingfish Pest Control.
Two awesome rival football fan bases
on 1010XL.
This is Hayes Carline for First Florida Credit Union. I bank with First Florida Credit Union because I trust them. I can always count on them when it comes to the vast services they provide. First Florida Credit Union was voted Best Bank in the 2024 Best of Bold City Community Choice Awards, and it's easy to see why. I go to the branch off 210 in St. Johns County and the new Durbin location, but they have 10 branches in the Jacksonville area. You need to be banking with First Florida Credit Union. They're enriching people every day. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
1010XL is presented by Barra & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now, the Seminole Point of View with Rick Baloo. Brought to you by Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard. Dream it, drive it.
I come bearing good news, Florida State fans. There's a chance this weekend. There's always a chance, especially when the truth teller is here on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. You know he's going to lay this out for you perfectly. But if I may, Rick Baloo, Florida State is playing another team in the ACC at home who also only has that one win on the season. What do you think the chances are for the Noles hosting the Carolina Tar Heels?
Well, I think when you have a quality coach like Mike Norvell, it really doesn't matter who the opponent is, and it really doesn't matter where the game is going to be played. Florida State always has a chance. So, unfortunately, Norvell in this one will make the wrong decision in quarterback Brock Glenn. He will be your starter. So, Seminole fans will have to deal with the fact that they'll be down either 10 or 14-0 midway through the second quarter, when finally Mike Norvell, it'll go ding in his head, and he'll say, let's play the freshman Luke Kromenhoek, and then you'll ask him to put Florida State in a situation where they can come from behind and win a football game.
Rick, what did you think of Luke Kromenhoek last weekend against Miami? Obviously 36-14, but there were definitely some moments, and I think for me, one of the things that kind of popped out is how it did a team that has not been able to run the ball whatsoever was able to get some of those yards on the ground with him.
Yeah, that broken play at the line of scrimmage where it looked like he was tackled and he busted out and went more than 50 yards actually was the best play Florida State has had all season long. It's the longest play they've had all season long. I think he's the real deal. I don't understand the rotation. I don't understand why late in the game they went back to Brock Glenn, who had a 3-and-out, and then he puts together a last-second touchdown drive, which creates even more of a quarterback controversy. The offensive line has been very suspect this year at Florida State. It's been very poor, and they're not able to run the football. So with Luke Kromenhoek, you have two options. You have him throwing the football, and I will credit Mike Norvell for this. He played the young freshman wide receivers. He played all three of them. Now, neither one of the three are ready yet, and that was evident by watching some drops and what appeared to be not the most accurate routes that were run. But it's the right way to go with this program in a year that has been a disaster. You might as well play your future and find out what you do have. And then Kromenhoek does have the ability to obviously pick up yards on the ground. This is it. I mean, Florida State is not going to have anywhere near a good recruiting class. It's going to be one of the worst recruiting classes they've ever had. So Mike Norvell, and he talked about it a little bit yesterday, he's going to have to go back out into the transfer portal and get a lot of football players. So it's going to be a fresh new team again next season. But his only hope is that Luke Kromenhoek is a football player that you can rely upon and can be there for 2 or 3 seasons and turn this thing around. If it doesn't work with him, then you're starting from scratch again. You're going back into the portal to get someone and tell him to learn a new offense, or you're relying on a younger guy coming out of high school. And, you just don't know how that's going to work out. So I happen to think that Luke Kromenhoek is the brightest thing that Florida State has. But play him. I mean, play him. Why are you going to start Brock Glenn? Why are you going to – it's not going to work with Brock Glenn. They should be playing Kromenhoek and Kromenhoek only.
You get him every night on Into the Night right here on the Superstation. He is Rick Baloo, the truth teller, joining us on the Garber Automall hotline. Rick, I asked plenty of Canes fans around town the last 48 hours or so if they were disappointed that the Canes only put up 36 points on Florida State. Do you think that was more indicative of miscues and perhaps calling the dogs off by Mario Cristobal and company? Or do the Canes have more flaws? Or have the Noles found something on defense?
No, I don't think he called the dogs off because he kept his starters out there, late into the fourth quarter, and they scored that last touchdown. So I think Florida State showed some promise on defense, particularly, there has been some improvement. I look at a guy like Omar Graham, who wears number 9. Florida State fans will attest to this. You watch the first 2 or 3 games this year. I think I even said that Omar Graham should never play another snap of football at Florida State. He was just terrible. He's improved drastically. I think the secondary, some guys there, Earl Little, was someone we haven't seen on the field, the first 3 or 4 games. A transfer portal kid who came over from Alabama, really made some plays. The defensive line, I think, has been a colossal disappointment, where you have 4 NFL future players that have not played well. But I think the back 7 did a decent job on Sunday. So I think that has a little bit to do with it. It also wasn't the greatest effort for Cam Ward. I mean, this guy's put up 3 or 4 touchdowns about every Saturday. As a Heisman Trophy voter myself, I certainly am observing what he's doing. He managed the game well, and they certainly ran the football well, but it wasn't a great evening as far as him passing it. And here's the other side of it, though. It's always about the offense. If you look at the Canes, their last 3 games before Florida State, they had given up 34 or more points in 3 consecutive games, and they won them all. Yet they held Florida State to 7. Okay, Florida State did score, the last play of the game to put up 14. But again, they're giving up 34 plus, and you mentioned, in that last second touchdown. So the offense wasn't as good as it could have been, but the defense was simply outstanding for Miami.
What do you think about the Noles defense this week? And I know we've talked a lot. You see improvements on the defense. UNC put up 41 points last weekend, but for the most part has also been kind of underwhelming. So what are your thoughts on that matchup this weekend?
Yeah, and they're going to be taking on one of the best running backs in America. And again, they were gutted last week by 2 great backs, and Miami really double-fisted where they can throw 2 really good running backs at you. That's going to be the case here for UNC. And, I didn't think that Florida State had a chance against Miami. I thought it would be a 48-10 type of game. It's similar here where the difference is defense, okay? North Carolina allowed 70 points to James Madison. This has been Mac Brown's problem the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, he's got NFL quarterbacks. He's got guys that can spin it all over the place. They just can't play solid defense. Now, you're taking on one of the worst offenses in college football in Florida State. So when it's all said and done, I still think you're going to have to score 30-some-odd points in order to knock off UNC. I just can't see how that's going to happen for Florida State because they're so challenged offensively. UNC is going to be able to run the football right at Florida State. They also have some quality wide receivers and a very good passing offense. So I think this is going to be a tough afternoon for Florida State when it comes to what they're going to have to do defensively. And, it's really one of those games where I think it's a victory for them if you hold UNC to a field goal attempt as opposed to scoring a touchdown. If Florida State plays the way they did last week offensively against Miami, there's just no way. And again, I said it earlier, just Miami, statistically speaking, is not a great defense this year. Even though those transfer portal kids, the one from Michigan State, the one from Tennessee, have done a really good job on that defensive front 7, they're still allowing a lot of points, and Florida State couldn't score. So to me, that's the difference in this game. Florida State isn't going to be able to get anything done offensively, and unfortunately, I think that's the reason why they'll end up losing.
Appreciate you, Rick, as always, joining us, talking Seminoles on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. And, of course, looking forward to Into the Night, 6 to 8 p.m. this evening right here on 1010XL.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. It's coming up in just a few short hours. Plenty to talk about. A lot of college football tonight. And, of course, the very latest on the Jags.
We appreciate it, Rick. And something tells me that Rick is going to be talking about the news that just broke in the National Football League.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What's so funny, Taylor, is I actually had the second breaking news that Ian Rappaport...
There's double AFC South breaking news.
Yeah, I had the Stephon Diggs news actually pulled up, and I knew once we finished our time with Rick, which of course we appreciate his time talking Noles each week, I knew we were going to come back with the breaking news that Stephon Diggs indeed tore his ACL on Sunday, and he is now out for the season for the Houston Texans. And then this scrolled across the timeline. Anthony Richardson has been benched for Joe Flacco in Indianapolis with the Colts set to face the Vikings on Sunday Night Football.
I know Trent in the other room probably has some words for this.
I'm curious what Denny Thompson, the quarterback whisperer, is thinking right now. Look, let's take a break.
Yes.
Let that digest, Heeligans. Again, in case you just joined us, Anthony Richardson has been benched in favor of Joe Flacco. Stephon Diggs is done for the year. Nico Collins already on IR for the Houston Texans, although he is expected to return. Diggs will not. His season is over. We'll react to all of that coming up in our final segment on this Active Health Jacks Tuesday right here on Helmets and Heels.
Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Did you know you can charge the all-new Honda Electric Prologue in the same receptacle as your phone? You don't need these special charging stations at your home. Simply plug in your Honda or your phone. See your local Honda dealer now. We're electrified.
What if you could be debt-free by this January? Get rid of all that high-interest debt, pay off all your credit cards, consolidate everything into one lower payment. Hey, it's Prosper here, and if you're ready to stop stressing over bills, you need to call Loan Pronto right now. With rates at their lowest in 2 years, this is the perfect chance to use your home's equity and save big going into the new year. Loan Pronto's got rates with APRs in the low fives, and they're getting homeowners hundreds of thousands out of their home's equity. Homeowners who do this save on average $850 a month. Loan Pronto offers a ton of options, including total refis, express equity lines of credit. So call now, get a rate quote in just minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call today. You won't make a house payment till 2025. 904-999-1508. That's loanpronto.com or 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Mia O'Brien here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. If water flows through it, the team at Duck Duck can install it or repair it. From septic tank pump outs, drain field installations, clog drains, water heaters to repipes, they do it all. And they do it well. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the reviews on Google and see what customers just like you are saying about their experience with Duck Duck Rooter. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit duckduckrooter.com to schedule service today.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. November is Veterans Month, and Awaken 180 is honoring all active duty veterans and spouses with 15% off our entire program, plus the same free support for life all clients receive. Celebrate Veterans Month with 50% off at awaken180weightloss.com.
Hey, Icken here for Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code JAX, J-A-X, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code JAX to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, man. Run your game.
Are you tired of having a plain and boring backyard? Really want to impress your family and friends this year? Then stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway. Imagine hosting guests at your new outdoor kitchen, relaxing by your custom-built fireplace under a brand new pergola. Stone Core can also remodel your old pool deck and beautiful new pavers. Make your backyard wishes a reality. Visit Stone Core on Phillips Highway and let's get started at stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality product and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Mr. Chubby's in Ponte Vedra is the place to be for the Jags game Sunday at 4 o'clock against the Eagles. E.T. will be out there with prizes and beer specials from Bud Light, so join him for a chance to win Jaguars tickets, plus plenty more at Mr. Chubby's in Ponte Vedra, Sunday at 4.
Find your why with membership at the First Coast YMCA. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Come try free access to your local Y every Wellness Wednesday this month. Check out our fitness classes, swimming, pickleball, youth sports, and so much more for free every Wednesday in October. Plus, we'll waive the join fee when you become a member this month. Get active, be social, live healthier, and discover all the benefits of YMCA membership at your local Y or visit fcymca.org.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation.
irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJax.com.
It's storm season, and JEA is committed to keeping you informed. In the event of a storm, we'll text and email you about the status of your services. We use Facebook and Twitter to post real-time updates. Our live outage map on JEA.com lets you track restoration progress. And as crews work to restore services, our storm outreach team will be in local neighborhoods to answer your questions. Because as your community utility, JEA is here to keep you safe and connected. Your community, your utility.
Sports fans, JJ LaSalva here. When I need to send my bride flowers or a plant for birthdays or anniversaries, I always go with Hume Flowers. After all, they've been the leading florist in these parts for over 75 years. You can always rely on Hume Flowers.
Our most popular meat combo is ready to grill this season. Pounds and pounds of marinated steak tips and chicken, fresh ground beef, and homemade sausage. Just ask for the sampler combo.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Ackerman Cancer Center offers women's health, diagnostic, and screening services, including contract-enhanced mammography and total body MRI. Early detection is the key. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Pete Prisco of CBS Sports has questions about Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence.
Hayes Carline asked him that question about Trevor driving the ball down the field, and he kind of just glossed over the stuff that Trevor did and went right to the other guys. What was he, 8 of 10 on that drive, throwing to guys in new spots and playing wide receiver who weren't there before? And he just glosses over it without really saying anything. My radar goes up, and all of a sudden I'm saying to myself, and I know others around the city are saying the same thing, is there a problem with the coach and quarterback? And it's not the first time we've heard that.
Pete Prisco of CBS Sports on Jaguars Happy Hour. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Well, in case you missed it before break, we had double breaking news coming out of the AFC South. One being Stephon Diggs tore his ACL. He is out for the remainder of the season. So now the Texans down both Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs at the moment. But also, I think probably even the bigger news is the quarterback news, as the Colts are planning to start Joe Flacco this Sunday night against the Vikings. So Anthony Richardson is being benched in Indianapolis, and I think that. Look, I get we have somebody that works here that's a Colts fan, and he's been defending Anthony Richardson a lot, saying, stop looking at the box scores and watch the games of things that are happening. And I do think to a certain extent that it bothers me too, because people do the same thing with Trevor in certain moments of like, oh, but he did this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, did you watch the game? Did you see the 4 drop touchdowns against the Bears? Did you see that he has 113 or whatever the number is drops? And so you don't see those things. And I did not watch the full Colts-Texans game, but apparently there were several drops. There were a ton of tipped balls, one of them being tipped, turning into an interception. But at the end of the day, I think that I feel like Steichen almost had to. You're a team that is still in it at this point, because we mentioned earlier in the show how many teams have under a 500 record. So the Colts are looking at this and saying, we have a shot right now to still make the postseason. What's our best possible way to do that? And a guy that has started 2 games and has, in those 2 games, 5 touchdowns and 1 interception, to a guy that has 4 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in 6 games, I feel like you have to. You've got to score, and you can't blame it all on everything else. At some point, Joe Flacco has the veteran leadership side. It'll be interesting to see. But you were reading a tweet, like, it's the trade deadline is a little bit away. Do people call about Anthony Richardson?
It's a perfect bow on today's Active Health Jacks Tuesday program. I'm not going to lie, Taylor, because what did we do at the start of the show? We ran through all of the teams in the AFC who are currently under 500. The Colts are not one of those teams. The Colts are hanging around, and if only by what their record is, which I've been told a time or two this week, you are what your record is, they're 4-4.
Yep.
There are only 6 teams across the entire conference with a better record than them. If the playoffs started today, the Indianapolis Colts would be in the postseason. They understand what's ahead of them. What I am most fascinated to see, number one, this is a move that says to me that not only is Chris Ballard on thinner ice than many believe, but Shane Steichen has been told he needs to win now.
Yep.
And what this also says to me is that if I had to guess what the official word coming out of Indianapolis will be tomorrow when Shane Steichen meets with the media, it will be the same as what Dave Canales said in Carolina earlier this season when they benched Bryce Young, which is he needs to learn from the sideline. We need to sit him down a little bit. We believe this is the best thing for his development, which is all a cover-up for the reality of, you know what? It's just not working. Yeah. And it's sad because, as people have pointed out to us throughout the day today, and certainly you can chime in on the text line Design by Lifetime Enclosures at 641-1010, Anthony Richardson from the jump was viewed as a project. Mm-hmm. Chris Ballard, I just pulled up the draft day story from our friend Eric Edholm from NFL.com. Chris Ballard said that he knew that this would not be a plug-and-play situation, but that he, quote, didn't want to see Anthony Richardson go anywhere else and become a superstar. Verbatim said, and I quote, if he's going to be a superstar in the NFL, he is going to be a superstar in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he came into the league with as little of college starts outside of Mitchell Trubisky as anyone who has ever gone into the National Football League and been a first-round pick in the NFL draft at the quarterback position. And so for me, it's so fascinating because while they may try to posture this as this is the best thing for his development, ultimately this is them giving up on Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and it will be an interesting conversation to look ahead of what this looks like when we hit that trade deadline. Like I said, are people going to make some calls and see what they're willing to take for Anthony Richardson? Maybe that's something that already people are on the phone about. But I think when you look at the Colts, in his defense, this Colts team right now doesn't look like it was built for a young quarterback who has barely any starts in college football or in the NFL to come in and take over. They're forcing a guy in Anthony Richardson to be a pocket passer and throw the ball 30 times a game, and that was never going to be what Anthony Richardson was. And so that does fall back on Shane Steichen, because I had the same exact issue in Chicago with Justin Fields, and I said you cannot make a guy who you already knew that the strongest suit in his game was his legs. Can he throw the ball? Yes. Anthony Richardson has a rocket of an arm. Justin Fields has a rocket of an arm. But they're not guys who are going to come in and run an offense where you're forced to be a thrower. You need to be able to have these guys use their legs and open up other opportunities. Anthony Richardson is way too athletic to be having this guy stand there and throw the ball that many times in a game. Joe Flacco is that guy. And so I think that, yes, in a way they are giving up on, it looks like they're giving up on Anthony Richardson. I think they're giving up of saying, okay, this team that we built around Anthony Richardson and the way this offense can run doesn't work with AR. It works with Joe Flacco, because Joe Flacco is that guy that will stand there and launch the ball down the field and be the pocket passer type of guy, not make a lot of mistakes. And in Indy right now, when you're 4-4, that's what you need.
484 on the text line, Designed by Lifetime Enclosures. At your job, you can't take a segment off, Mia. I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, and that is another thing. And I told Trent that when he came in and was, but this
I'm
is
tired.
Anthony. Don't watch the box
Steve,
scores
I'm tired.
and blah blah blah.
I don't want to do this
tapped
segment.
his helmet, and then when they asked him, he seriously lie, because you seriously just came out and said, I was just kind of tired. That is, and I've never in my entire life seen that happen. And that's watching a guy in Justin Fields who would literally take off and run for 55 yards and then get right back in the center and complete 4 passes in a row. And so, you have to, at some point, number one, that I think that killed him. I think that ruined his final little shot of anything, as they're watching that, and you gave up on your team in that moment. And it's a close game against a divisional opponent, and you had the chance to move on to have a winning record at this point in the AFC South, that now the Texans just lost another wide receiver, and you could be competing to be up at the top of the division.
This is the same guy who lost to Kentucky after lighting the world on fire against Utah in his first start of the 2022 season, lost to Kentucky and said he lost all of his confidence. I just want to remind folks of that. And look, I've gotten to know Anthony over the better part of the last 6 years. He's a great kid. Yes. I hope that this truly is the best thing for his development. We referenced Jameis Winston to start the 1 o'clock hour. Jameis Winston, it did not work out. being the number 1 overall pick, being a first-round draft pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and being the starting quarterback for the first six years of his career.
Yeah.
He has found new life in the role he is now. I am curious for Anthony Richardson if that is on a different team or, as more than one Healigan has already suggested on the text line, a change to the tight end position.
Oh, I mean, I guess you start having some sort of conversation, and I think for Anthony, like Anthony's the kind of guy that likes to play ball, so I could see him being one of the guys to just be like, I just want to be here, whatever I have to do. But also maybe we've seen how many quarterback changes and new places and fresh places this year have worked, and sometimes that's the best thing. We're seeing Baker Mayfield, we're seeing Sam Darnold, we're seeing all of these guys. Even Justin Fields, even though he has been benched for Russell Wilson, was having a really good start to a season. You have all of these quarterbacks now that go to good places, and kind of some of their biggest errors that have been shining the last few years go away, and maybe that's the best thing for him. And it's unfortunate because it is a situation where you don't want it to be like Carolina, where we watched Carolina bench Bryce Young and then Andy Dalton gets hurt and then they have to go back to Bryce Young, and then that's an awkward situation. But I mean, Steichen's trying to save himself right now.
Let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers, the exclusive provider of BioTarget regenerative therapy for pain. Visit GoBioTarget.com for a location near you.
Leon Searcy, the floor is yours. Anthony Richardson benched for Joe Flacco.
Listen, I understand he hasn't played well, and as a veteran in that locker room, when you want to win football games, I know he's an experiment and he's a young guy. But at this particular point in the season, you want to win football game. If I'm on that team and you've seen Flacco and you've seen Anthony practice, you got to look at who you feel gives you the better chance to win football games at this particular point. And as a veteran, if I was a veteran, I'd be like, hey, coach, you got to play Flacco.
Can they come back? Can they come back from this move of putting him on the bench, or is it over? Is this them saying the experiment is over?
Well, I mean, quarterbacks, you have to treat quarterbacks with like a fine glove. You know what I'm saying? Because they're emotional creatures.
On and off the field.
On and off the field. So I mean, it's gonna be on him how he deals with it. But if they make that decision, he's gonna have to deal with it professionally, go about his business like he's gonna start every week. Because Powell doesn't do you any good. Absolutely does no good.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about earlier in the show, Leon, is on my tangent, the slow starts that the Jags have had. How much as that factor, just for reference, so Jags in the first quarter have 87 plays compared to opponents 128. They have 374 yards compared to opponents 765. They have 2.5 points a quarter in the first quarter compared to 5.13. How much does that factor into, in your experience, you getting out of the gates and everything kind of starting fast right away? Well,
I was thinking about this. I was talking about this yesterday, that don't go no huddle, but go hurry up. Something that's going to speed up the offense and get them going.
Yep.
Because I'm saying you go a quarter and a half without a first down. That's almost unheard of in the NFL.
Well, especially on the heels.
You only have won a whole game.
Especially on the heels of your running back makes the comment, and we posted it, we shared it, in which Tank Bigsby said, I can't have a run and then I don't get handed the ball for another 10 plays because then that feels like the first run of the football game. He is a guy who needs to be lathered up.
You got to feed him.
He was averaging, they did run it, those first 2 plays. I believe it was the third 3 and out. They ran him 4 yards. Ran him 4 yards. 3rd and 2, pass behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Not really winning football, if you ask me.
It's not. It's not at all. And plus, you want to get the offensive line, you want to get them geared up as well. And, getting them geared up, give them running plays. Give them some running plays so they can get after it a little bit.
What's coming up on primetime?
Well, we got the college football brackets. They've changed a bit.
XLP to the CFB.
Yes, XLP to the CLP. There you go.
There we go.
And then we got Florida, Georgia, of course. That's this week. And we're going to talk about, here comes the judge, who is the front runner for the MVP.
Oh, boy. I like it.
What, Taylor, I want to ask you a question. Have you recovered?
No, I have not. I have not recovered. I don't know if I'll ever recover from that moment. In the moment, Trent just sent me a stat because in that game also, they had a backup offensive lineman on the goal line try and run the ball in, and he fumbles. And so the guy they had behind him is a guy named Roschon Johnson, who is literally 100%, 5 for 5 on the goal line this year, scoring a touchdown, and they gave it to the backup offensive lineman.
Wow.
So, yeah, hits
That's
keep
bad.
coming with that one, Leon.
Nothing against offensive linemen. They can do everything, but not in that situation. Thank you, Leon. We're looking forward to it.
Thanks, Leon.
XL Prime. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, XL Primetime coming up next. I do want to give away. We have a giveaway. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Lunch on the ladies today. Go ahead and give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 1.
Caller number 1. Hey, listen, it's 1:53. You could still have lunch on Chick-fil-A and have it on the ladies.
I'm about to have lunch.
Our thanks to Mike Golic Jr., our thanks to Clay Hensley, and our thanks to Rick Baloo for joining us on this Active Health Jacks Tuesday edition of Helmets and Heels. Lauren Brooks hopefully back tomorrow. For RJ Saunders, for Taylor Dahl, I am Mia O'Brien. We will catch you later.